Welcome to a Simplex converted to a Great Western Railway Prairie tank. This one is part 31 and it's called the Firehole door adapter. Here's the original Firehole door and it's sat on a piece of brass. And here is the firehole in the back head of the boiler. And there are no mountings, that is, there are no bushes for fittings to secure the firehole door and latch, which is a shame really. I can't bring myself to drill into the boiler to fit tiny screws to hold the latch and the hinge in place. And as I showed in the previous episode, I'm going to make an adapter which will support the firehole door hinge and the latch. My digital caliper tells me that this is 1.5 inches in diameter. So I'm going to waste no time, straight into the chuck with a piece of brass bar, and as usual I'm facing across the end of it. This piece of brass bar has a deep impression in it left by the drill bit from a previous drilling operation. I'm really not bothered about this because the brass in the centre part of this bar is mainly going to be turned into swarf. The belts on my old lathe are quite slack and I keep them that way just in case I have an accident. And to be fair, over the years I've never broken any part of this lathe by lockups and things like that. And believe me, that's not because I'm a good engineer. Quite the opposite in fact. By keeping the belts a little bit on the slack side, it just gives me a greater margin of error. The lathe is currently in back gear, running very slowly, but to avoid the problem of viewers slipping into a coma or jumping off high public buildings, the video footage is currently running at 400% or 4 times normal speed. It just lets me get through the turning operations quicker. I know, I'll do a bit of drilling to break the monotony. My brain is not quite wired properly. I was given a drug called phenobarbital when I was 5 years old to calm me down. I don't think they use that drug anymore. That may explain it. With the lathe still running in back gear, I'm now drilling a hole all the way through the middle. This is the largest twist drill that I own, and it drills holes 1 inch in diameter. And in common with a lot of my equipment, I do remember getting this twist drill. I originally got this drill and a few others from a scrapyard in West Yorkshire, and that was almost 40 years ago, and I still have them and they still work well. I do find it a good idea though to pilot the hole all the way through first. I used a 3/8 drill to do this. That way it is far easier to push the 1 inch drill through the hole. After what seemed like an eternity, the drill finally breaks through at the other side. Now it's time to turn the final external diameter. I'd like to say a few words about this. For the intended application of this adapter, I do not want it to be a tight fit in the bush in the boiler. Some viewers may be thinking, well, that's not very good engineering. I thought I was watching a tutorial. Why am I watching this tutorial when it's clearly showing the turning of this part under size? Sorry about that, I was just preempting the comments that will come in. So why can't it be a perfect fit in the 1.5 inch diameter bush in the boiler? Model steam boilers expand and contract, and I want to allow that to still happen in a natural way without this brass adapter affecting that. I'm going to fit the adapter into the existing firehole using some high temperature silicone sealant, and I will also use this for sealing the steam pipes and the smoke box. More about that in a later episode. You've just been watching me parting off the piece of excess brass, and here I'm facing across the front of it, but I'm not going all the way. I've left some of the metal in place just as a guide to tell me once I get past this area it's time to start taking measurements. This part of the sequence is very heavily edited. As you can see, I've gone past the guideline turning and the hole size in the adapter is now quite close to the finished dimension. And what is that dimension? Anything you like, as long as it's smaller than 1.5 inches. If the end outer ring drops off, you've definitely overcooked the job. In this clip I'm using the boring tool to face the front, and now I'm using a piece of emery cloth to get rid of the sharp edge. And my finger is kept well clear of the edge and the hole. Here's the story so far. I think this is about right. It's going to be strong enough, and it's got a very small amount of clearance all the way around, just enough to take some high temperature silicone rubber sealant. A test fit is in order. You can clearly see the gap between the adapter and the original firehole door. That's about right. But it doesn't end there. I have to silver solder some plates onto the adapter ring so I can mount the hinge at one side and the latch at the other. And for that I need a piece of brass. Here it is, and to mark it out I'm just scribing around the ring, first at one end and then the other, followed by cutting this out on the bandsaw. As you can see in this clip, I'm not cutting very close to the line. I'll get the finished dimension by using the top part of my 1-inch belt sander, the round bit. The next part of the job is to clean up the outer ring using a piece of emery cloth in the lathe, followed by the silver soldering process. And here it is on my brazing hearth in the outer part of the workshop. If you look at the right hand extension piece, you will see a gap all the way around it, but this will pull in when the capillary action of the silver solder starts to work. I've seen this happen many times when silver soldering steam cones onto pieces of pipe. As always when I show silver soldering, I'm applying the solder too early. Silver solder will only run if the parts are clean, with plenty of flux and at the correct temperature. In this clip you can see me applying some silver solder to the right hand part. Same principle, very clean, plenty of flux, and when the part is hot enough, you get a good joint. The next part of the job is to let the part cool to black and drop it into some cold water. Thermal shock will remove some of the oxidization and scale, but do not drop any silver soldered components into water until they're fully turned to black. In this clip you should get the idea of what's going to be happening. After cleaning up the front of the adapter using my 4-inch belt sander, it now looks like this. I'm going to temporarily hold the Firehole door in place, and this seems to look okay, it works fine. I'll conclude the making of this adapter in the next episode after I've made a new centre hinge mounting and pin, as well as a latch for the other side. And that's it for this episode. I'd just like to say, as always, stay healthy, thanks for watching, and I hope you found it useful. And click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists, and by doing that you can find other videos that you may like to watch. And by using the playlists you can actually watch the videos back to back.